Guys, welcome to a new series here between Sitaux and Classicpro. We have Sitaux playing blue, and he's playing as the Italians for this map, Chaos Pit. His opponent is Classicpro playing in the yellow as a 2-in, so another 2-ins on Chaos Pit situation here. They did lose last series. Let's see what they can do this series.
I don't mind playing Teutons here at all, because Teutons have a beautiful tower rush as they are able to garrison 10 villagers into the tower instead of 5. And that can come in very handy in these kind of maps. So yeah, let's see. Hera, what do you think about Teutons on this one?
Like, the thing is, Teutons as a civilization, I actually feel like it's a little bit underrated. It has a lot of good things going for it.
Yes.
I would say the best way to play them on a map like this is Tower Rush is an option, but I think it's a very risky one. I think you just play Scout Skirm. Scout Skirm, you play a clean game, and then you break out to the outside, and then your late game is going to be like something like, I don't know, maybe Halb, Siege, something like that. Can be not too bad. Paladin, always an option, but it does get tricky against Italians. Because Italians are pretty good civ into cavalry civs with their Genoese crossbow, fast imp, so... Yeah, I think I prefer Italians here, but I would probably play Scout Skirm with Teutons and try to work my way to Castle Age.
Yeah, it also feels like with Teutons you would want to force a longer Castle Age play, because in Imperial Age it feels like Italians have all the tools necessary to neutralize the Teuton strength. They have the bombard cannons, they have the greatest counter unit to cavalry out there, and yeah, they also have incredible monks as well. So it's going to be harder for Teutons, I guess, especially as you mentioned the faster imp. Teutons usually shine when they're able to get themselves enough time for getting the boom going, but yeah. And in the meanwhile, while talking about it, we have Sitaux heavily laming already, and he sees those villagers out trying to get in the wood, and Sitaux, he usually likes to do those kind of shenanigans.
I don't know why he's such a fan of this. I mean, I don't think it's bad, by the way. I think it's not bad. Like, it's basically like a drush, but your forward villagers can also build buildings, and you can see no loom for Classicpro. He's gonna lose a villager here.
Yeah.
One build goes down. You need to get loom right away. Quick walls are down now, though.
Oh, and he failed the quick wall, Hera!
He
failed the quick wall!
No, it's a disaster.
Oh, he's losing 2 villagers now in total. Maybe even a third one. Now he's getting loom in now. But man, this is just incredible play by Sitaux, and he will be able to pick up that villager as well.
And just like that, because of a little bit of a sloppy reaction from Classicpro, he lost 2 more villagers than he should have. I agree, the first one, it's hard to react to. You lose 1 vill. But definitely losing 3, that's hard to come back. And I think Sitaux now can wall in the lumber camp if he wants to. And he's in fact going for this. This might be GG here, actually.
It kind of looks like that, doesn't it? I mean, if I was in Classicpro's position right now, I would be so frustrated. He lost 4 villagers.
That's so insane.
4 villagers. I've never seen such a crazy aggression ever working.
And now Classicpro can't make a lumber camp. He has to take straggler trees to then make a lumber camp. And Sitaux, with those 2 forward vills, he can continue laming if he wants to. This is completely insane. Wow.
I don't remember the last time I've ever seen this being pulled off in a high-level game. I'm just wondering how Classicpro must be feeling in that moment. And I don't think it's going to be too good. I mean, yes, he killed the scout. And Sitaux, he's sending even more villagers here. He's acting like he was Burvis right now.
I no, like, is this a good strategy from Sitaux? Is he getting lucky that it's working? Oh, wait, you're not allowed to do that. Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, you're allowed to do that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay, damn. Yeah, but I'm not sure, like, is this a good strategy? Did Sitaux just get lucky? Is Classicpro, not reacting properly?
I think
not sure, man.
I would agree with your assessment here that he was a bit sloppy with the defense. He loses the first villager for sure, but the second and third and fourth one, that was unnecessary. But it also is very hard when you're getting rushed like that. It can trigger you, and it has an impact on your mental state as well. So maybe therefore he was a bit sloppy here.
And guys, in this situation, if you're Classicpro, you do not pull 8 villagers. You pull exactly the same number as Sitaux. You pull 5 vills to fight 5 vills, and if your villager gets low, you run it back to the town center. That's how you defend a strategy like this from Sitaux. You don't want to idle more villas than necessary because that's what Sitaux is looking for here.
Yeah. And Classicpro going up to full age now. And I'm just wondering, he has 19 villagers himself. What is his strategy going to be? Because I don't think he will have the economy to do anything, will he?
Yeah, I think you have two options. Either you try to make it messy and go for a tower rush yourself, or you try to stabilize and you go for a horse collar and just make farms and then just wait. That's the two approaches, I would say.
Yeah. The thing is, Sitaux is losing 2 villagers now in the process as well. So Classicpro has almost caught up in that regard. But man, what is Sitaux doing? I think he's overstaying his welcome here.
Yeah. You killed 4 villas. Don't you just chill after that? Honestly.
Like, I would be chilling like a madman.
Yeah.
And now it's 4 against 3.
All of a sudden, Sitaux is like in the same position as Classicpro. Yeah. Obviously, walling in the lumber camp gave some value as well, but
he had to run his villagers all the time, so the idle villager time is much higher for him. So I think we are going into a equalized game here right now.
Which is so crazy to think about here. Listen, Classicpro, he's up to feudal age. I think it's the wrong approach. He's making a barracks. I don't think you can afford that. I think you should just get horse collar, make farms, and wait. I don't think you go stable here. Like, you just have to wait now.
There is no way in this world that he can afford anything. He doesn't have... He has 9 on food, he has 9 on wood, yes, but what is his follow-up plan going to be? Even if he commits to a building, which is going to be the... Oh, it's an archery range. Super surprising. Will he have the resources to commit to that? It's going to be a hard one.
So this is why I think the experienced players, like Doubt, yourself, you guys will not make this mistake of trying to force a strategy. I think a lot of strong players, they have really good builds, but when they get disrupted, they don't know how to adapt. And I think that's one thing that we're seeing from Classicpro. Super solid player, but I think he's failing to recognize he needs to adapt in the situation and take it a little bit slower. There's nothing wrong with just making farms to start, stabilizing, and then making units afterwards. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a slowed down game.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I like what Classicpro is doing right now. He's going to the mill in the north, and he wants to further expand his food economy, and that's exactly what he needs to do. But now we see indeed the skirms coming out, and Sitaux, he will do that as well. Going for the skirms here. And Sitau's micro is pretty impeccable, so let's see how Classicpro is going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, he's definitely a micro player. We're seeing now a blacksmith come down as well. By the way, if it's skirm versus skirm, you don't make any spears here, so players only make spears because they expect scouts. Now both players know it's skirm war. You don't make any spearmen. And in skirm war, you don't need archer armor as well for the skirms. It doesn't do anything. So those are things you need to know, guys, in this situation if you're playing this. And that tower from Classicpro, trying to play very aggressive here.
Yeah, I mean, Sitaux is forced to do a counter tower himself, and he's going for fletching already, so he will have the slight advantage here over Classicpro. But it feels like Classicpro is by far not in as bad of a position as I was thinking, because he has the Teutons, so he will be able to garrison more villages in the TC. Is he into the tower? Is he able to quick wall though? That's the question. If the villagers are able to close the distance against the tower is going to be down pretty soon.
Yeah. And one build goes down there for Classicpro. Sitaux, he's going to get that tower for sure. And the skirms in the back, guys, are not doing enough damage. He might be able to kill one villager, Classicpro is, but you're not going to be able to stop that tower from going down. There's actually one villager, 1 HP, bro. You just have to hit that one. Perfect. Yeah.
So I was waiting for the skirm killing the villager, and then I would have been like, Hera, you said that skirms don't kill villagers. What would you say now?
But I was right. You see, the villagers had to kill the villager. The skirm couldn't finish the job, so...
It's like, one more shot. No, I cannot do it.
Classicpro is on my team there. By the way, Vil count somehow is neck and neck. It's the same Vil count. It's one extra for Sitaux. After all the chaos we've seen on Chaos Pit. Nice to see that name checks out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was expecting on Chaos Pit. Something like that. Not what Dugao and Miguel have done, but exactly that. And, yeah. I mean... The idle TC time for Sitaux is extremely high. Classicpro's is high as well, but I think that was due to the disturbance at the beginning, and now he finally goes for blacksmith himself. Sitaux having a huge advantage in that regard. And yeah.
So I just want to quickly backtrack. Like that whole idea from Classicpro to go for a tower rush, and take the forward berries. Would it not have just been better to make 2 farms at home, use the advantage and save some wood? The whole aggression, all it's done is that it's made him lose his tower and lose a couple villagers. And he didn't really get any advantage from Sitaux back there besides forcing a tower. So something to think about for next time. Sometimes less is more. And just chilling at home would have definitely been a better approach here. More towers though. He's having a completely different approach than me here.
The thing is also, I guess Classicpro has completely abandoned the idea of ever cutting out in this game for the next 10-20 minutes.
True.
And therefore he wants to fully commit onto the Fuel Age play. He is going for stone, and he will. What we will see from him now is full aggression with towers and skirms. And let's see how Sitaux is going to be handled that one, because that tower right now is getting a lot of farms idle.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. You're right. Like he's not cutting out, so maybe that's why he feels the need to actually force the Fuel Age, which makes a lot of sense, right? Sitaux is already outside. He's already taking stone and gold on the outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like what Classicpro is doing right now. He's kind of, salvaging the situation. But Sitaux should still be having the lead here. We have 36 villages against 35. And both players exactly having the same amount of army. But Sitaux, he will struggle a lot to keep up the villager production and the skirm production. Right now, this archer range is idle.
Sitaux just gave up 10 farms, man. That was crazy to watch. Like he just lost like literally 8 farms, and he can't really make too many more skirmishers. He can make a few, but long term he's gonna need to reset up the farms if he wants to survive here. Classicpro, all of a sudden, I think he's in a decent spot here. If he plays properly for the next couple of minutes, I can see him easily coming back here. Sitaux is sending the vills forward though. Not sure if I agree with this.
I like Classicpro's position a bit more right now. Because it feels like... Yeah, it is crazy, but he just seems to have the momentum. And it also heavily depends now how this fight is going to be. But yeah, I think that tower should be going down, no problem whatsoever. I don't even think he will lose too many villages in process as well. Maybe 1 in best case. And yeah, the tower indeed goes down and Classicpro is being pushed back. And one thing we have to keep in mind here is all the villages for Classicpro are not gathering resources right now. So Classicpro's economy is not the best right now.
Definitely very messy. I think he could have played that fight better though. He should have tried to repair the tower and buy time in that situation, I believe. But nonetheless, it goes down. More towers will come up. And Classicpro is doing a really good job of bringing back the low HP villages. I say that, but 1 goes down. Still has a lot of skirmishers now. And now they can kill villagers, Jordan. That's 3 down there.
I was about to say, Hera, this must be the most exciting fight you have ever casted, no? Villagers against skirms.
Yep. Yeah. And skirms actually somehow winning when there's a lot of them. They are not too bad against the villas, it seems. And now it's Classicpro on the aggression against the towers. And Sitaux, all of a sudden, he is, he's forced to run back. So,
So
super interesting all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how this one is going to transition. I think Sitaux should be the player who is going up to cast stage a bit faster here. And in the meanwhile, we're seeing some micro from both players here. I guess both players are doing a good job there. It looks like Classicpro, however, is having the favor here. Killing 4 skirms against the 0 from Sitaux.
And we did talk about Sitau's micro, guys, but we didn't talk about Classicpro's micro. Super clean there.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a good display of micro there. And by the way, Classicpro is trying to desperately cut on the outside now.
Yeah,
He's like, let me out, bro. I need to get some gold.
Okay, I want some gold, okay?
I want it now, bro.
Yeah. It feels like, okay, I'm done with that shit. Give me some proper units now.
Yeah, exactly. He's just about fed up with look at the micro. I mean, this is great stuff from Classicpro.
And he's going through the TC with the villagers. Like, he does not care.
I feel like in recent days, everyone is so good at micro, honestly. Don't you feel that way, Jordan? Like, everyone is insane at microing.
Yeah, if you're excluding Doubt, then yes.
True. I forgot about that one player. But yeah, like, it seems like even like the up-and-coming players here, guys, they are so hard to beat micro-wise. It feels like you need to outsmart them, out-macro them to win these games.
Yeah. Definitely agree with that one.
It's good to see, man.
Yeah, for sure. Now we have Classicpro going for host color and the wood upgrade. I don't agree with that one. I mean, I understand why he's thinking that, but I think that will delay his cast stage time, which is going to be so important here. And he has queued up cast stage indeed. He will also have wheelbarrow before going up to cast stage, and that is going to be such a huge boost to his economy.
Yeah. Classicpro. it felt like at some point he might be able to find enough damage to make this worth it, but the problem is when the guy is up to castle age, it doesn't matter if he's down a lot of vills, like, and in this case he's not even down many vills, but yeah, the knights come out and one knight is worth like 20 skirmers, no problem. So
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
it's more
it's
about
just such
timing.
a big power spike. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So even if you might say Sitaux is pretty disrupted, Sitaux losing the micro battles, it doesn't matter. He's up to castle age. He's got the stables down.
Yeah. And he can
in a
also
good
easily add one scout to push those skirms away in case he was losing the micro boar here, which seems to be the case right now, but it should be a very equal one anyway. And the problem is now for Classicpro, he knows that his opponent is going to be castle age in a moment, most likely. And how is he ever going to defend against incoming knights? Like, I don't see him walling the map very, very fast. So I guess the only option he has is to build spears, but Sitaux should be adding a siege workshop in the process to further push the aggression.
Yeah, I think you make spears and then you pray that you can survive.
Exactly.
You have to click up ASAP though. I would actually say use the market, you click up, and then you make spears only after you click up, and then you just try to hold, bro. But like it's obviously very hard.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that is the best bet you can have. I'm wondering what Classicpro is going to be doing now. So he has utilized the market to get in the gold, and now he's going up himself, and he's adding a barrack. So we will see a full spearman defense from him, and that in theory can work, because if he has a lot of spearmen, which we can, upon reaching castle age, transition into the pikemen, he can add a siege workshop as well to further push Sitaux here. But Sitaux, is he going to do a castle drop, Hera? It looks like that,
like
yes.
He wants to. Yeah, it looks like he's buying stone. I really like that. That's perfect, actually. That's because you can make Teutonic Knights now. I'm not no cap. I'm not joking. You can make Teutonic Knights, and that completely counters the pikes. Oh no,
He's Italian, but Genoese crossbow.
Yeah, Genoese crossbow will finish it. Never mind.
Yeah,
My bad.
yeah.
My bad.
That's even better, man.
Yeah, I was getting excited, but yeah, Genoese crossbow will be better.
You desperately wanted to see Teutonic Knights, man.
Yeah, I was like, sheesh, this is perfect time. But yeah, Genoese crossbow are gonna be pretty insane. Nonetheless. And yeah, that's a good choice, man. That's a good choice.
I also like Sitaux. He's only committed one stable, so it's not like he has fully committed his entire economy into that. And now we see Monastery. We see a siege workshop coming up as well for Sitaux. And he is looking at a beautiful position, because Classicpro, with all the spears he has, he's not going to be too successful in defending.
Yeah, I think you definitely don't make a monastery versus students here, but yeah, that's definitely not correct.
Yeah.
But you probably just make the siege workshop, and then you save the wood on the monastery.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree there. So we see Monastery coming in for Classicpro now as a counter, and we see also Sitaux adding one TC in the back as well. The thing is, Sitau's main base looks very awkward, doesn't it?
But the Classicpro randomly has the score lead. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, this is exactly the game which I was hoping for on Chaos Pit.
Like, this is actually crazy. I prefer Sitau's position by a lot, though. I think the castle has so much value, personally, but I don't know anymore, honestly.
It definitely has. Classicpro, in the meanwhile, has been able to cut himself out of this one. And now the knights are just going to be always so annoying to deal against, especially because Classicpro, he is not having the mobility right now. And the only thing he can do is run after those knights. And the monk is doing work here. And he got the villager conversion. Hera, maybe you want to, how would you say in English? Do a different statement now.
Nah, but okay, you get one villager. Okay, I mean maybe monks versus Teutons is actually good. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? He did get a villager, so
Hera, you have to think long term. That villager, the converted one, is going to gather so much resources right now, and that it's easily going to pay back.
True. I think in 3 hours and a half, it's gonna pay back to the monastery and the monk. It's gonna be really huge. So definitely. A really good investment there from Sitaux. By the way, I was just gonna say, Classicpro is still tower rushing. Like amongst all that, Classicpro is still tower rushing and still trying to make something happen. So
and he's very successful in doing that, I feel.
Yeah, it's not even bad. Like Sitaux is like panicking so hard versus it as well.
Yeah, I feel like in this moment, building a siege just Mangonel should be the best way to defend against that.
Yeah. I think Mangonel, Pikes, you're pretty chill, like, versus everything.
Yep.
But the thing is, so the thing for Classic Pro here is that he lost his Town Center. He has no build production right now. He needs to get the Town Center down. Oh, rough.
Yeah, it feels to me like it's one of those 0 TC all-in strategies again.
You're just defending. That feels
I know,
kind of rough.
I was just trying to be funny.
The 0 TC defense. Like,
yeah. I mean, we've been there against Swang, so...
True. Oh, I actually won a game the other day with Swang. He killed my TC, and then I just wiped his army. It was very good. I had more vills than him, of course. 'Cause, like...
well, he usually stops at 28, so...
25, actually, I've noticed. 25.
25? Yeah, you must be kidding
optimizing. Yeah.
God.
Or maybe versus me, because I'm so good, he needs to stop earlier. I don't know. Maybe versus you. 28 is fine versus you, maybe. But...
yeah, the better the player, the less villager he will have.
exactly. No, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens with Wong. But in this game, guys, it looks like Sitaux is slowly running away from it. He's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's just booming with Town Centers and avoiding the tower rush. And in games like this, guys, if you can find a way to just get your economy to stabilize, your opponent is going to be in a much weaker position if he's not able to do the same.
Yeah. Also, Sitaux going for redemption now himself. And that's going to add a lot of value as well. I feel like Sitaux, instead of focusing so much onto the front, he needs to clean the towers now, because they have been such a nuisance for him right now. Is it a nuisance? I think so, right?
Nuisance, yeah.
Nuisance,
right.
Okay.
Not too bad. Yeah, I think, like, at this point, you just don't want to make the game, like, messy. At this point, for Sitaux, you're so far ahead, you can see the score, right?
Yeah.
You want to slow down the game, clear the towers, and then just wait till imp probably makes the most sense here. But listen, even on the front, he's having success. There's only Spearmen. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. I mean, I think Sitaux wants to place a castle as soon as possible, and he should place that castle where the tower is right now from Classic Pro. I feel like at the end, at the entrance, and then Classic Pro has no way of pulling off any aggression. You will lose maybe 5 villagers in the process, but that's definitely worth it.
Yeah, hard agree. You just stop the push, get the castle up, and you're just completely chilling after that. And he can afford to lose 5 vills here. Classic Pro is trying to get back in the game with the Town Center, but he is now 30 vills behind, and that's going to get worse and worse as time goes on here. So he's once again back in the situation where he's constantly all-inning. We now see Sitaux with that defensive castle, as we talked about. Not the best. I would like a little bit more forward, maybe, but not too bad.
I agree. I will take care of the 2 towers here, but then again, Classic Pro... yeah, it's fine. It's not like Sitaux has a huge economy on the right-hand side, so he will be able to clean those towers now. And then in the meanwhile, Sitaux, he's going ham with the villagers here in the front as well, Hera.
Yeah, this is this is a chaos pit game, to be honest. Like, I feel like this game played out in such a weird way.
Yeah.
Where there was just non-stop aggression. No one ever tried to stabilize it.
Yeah.
And both players just going at it super hard. But now the problem for Classic Pro is that he actually has no units to defend this, and there's a castle going up in his face. Oh god.
I think that is his biggest problem right now. That castle which is going to go up. There are 13 villagers right now hammering on that castle foundation, and Classic Pro has no chance to stop that whatsoever.
Yeah, that is extremely rough. That castle's gonna kill 2. By the way, can we stop, guys? Don't make a tower when your opponent makes a castle. It makes no sense. Stop doing that.
It maybe makes sense if he is building the castle with 2 villagers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not going to happen. Maybe if you're up against out, do it, but yeah, not against the other ones.
If you have army, then you make a tower, then you can stop the castle. But if the guy has 20 villas making a castle, guys, if you make 3 towers, it's not going to do anything. And then you end up just losing more to the castle. So just keep that in mind. I see that way too often. It's such a mistake.
For sure. Maybe sometimes it's also
always.
the panicking, right? How would you say, the desperation move.
Yeah, like, how do I stop it? It's a castle, but then, like, you end up just wasting more to it, and the game becomes harder and harder.
Yeah.
So
I'm just wondering, Hera, how we ended up having such a wild game after we have seen the first 5 minutes Sitaux killing 4 villagers. I think Sitaux's biggest mistake was committing even further with the villagers. He had a 4-0 lead on the villagers. Just take it home.
Yeah. The game would have been so much easier, like
Yeah.
insanely easier if that was the case. He made it
Yeah.
really messy on himself. Boom, we're in. Sitaux versus Classic Pro. I'll take the intro over, guys. We're back on Classic Arabia here. It's not Classic Pro, it's Classic Arabia on Classic. It's Classic Pro on Classic Arabia, excuse me. And we have him playing in the yellow, and he's playing as Burgundians, very strong civilization. And we have Sitaux playing in blue as the Portuguese. Not a bad civilization, but not considered as strong as Burgundians by many on this map here. But just taking a look at the generations here, right away, one thing that strikes me is Sitaux has really thick woodlines, and it seems both players actually on this Arabia have really thick woodlines. Is this on purpose, Jordan? Why did you pick this version of Arabia for the tournament?
Yeah, for me personally, I like to have Arabia a bit more closed, so
okay.
we see more of the strategical component. Like on the very open Arabia maps, I had the feeling that most of the time it has been all in on the military front, and I just wanted to have a more deviation there.
Nah, for sure. Yeah, no. If I couldn't micro like you, I would definitely want to have a more closed Arabia as well.
Okay,
Hard agree there, Jordan.
Let me take
but
a
on more
note. That
serious
was the
note-
first shot.
Yeah, you were asking for that one, but on a more serious note, though, I feel like in recent years, Arabia has went from like a balanced map to like both extremes. Either it's full wall every game, or it's full aggression, sell stone every game, and
Yeah.
I feel like we're yet to find the balance with Arabia. I don't know what's going on with it, but we're yet to find that balance. And I feel like at one point we had a balance with Arabia, but not anymore.
It feels like maybe 8 or 9 months ago, where there was a patch which had, for me personally, the beautiful Arabia, and yeah, we have made it a bit worse now. But
Yeah.
okay, we will get there hopefully again.
Yeah, exactly. 5-10 more years, guys. We have a perfect Arabia. Don't even worry about it. We're working towards that goal for sure. But yeah, it's one of those maps that, although it's very classic, it went through a lot of changes over time, and every version of Arabia is different here. But let's focus on this version now. We've got both players with a reasonable map. I wouldn't say a great map for either player, but a reasonable map here. Classic Pro, really open on the front, but he could easily wall towards his town center, and he can wall the sides of his map nicely. Look at that, 2 golds to the back of his base. I love that map, personally.
Yeah, especially if you're Burgundians. There's not too much you have to be afraid of right now. I mean, he doesn't have safe stone, which is definitely an issue for Burgundians in theory. But you can still always go for the cavalry play in cast stage and then just get yourself the control of the stones after that. So that's not the biggest thing here. And Portuguese right now, I mean, Sitaux, I feel like both maps serve a big potential for both players. And what I love about Classic Pro right now, he is aware where Sitaux is spawning, and Sitaux has no idea himself. And the problem is, I don't think Sitaux is expecting Classic Pro to be spawning so close to him, because usually you would expect Classic Pro to be somewhere in the north.
Yeah, and I think so. When we talk about like the players' distance apart, it often favors the guy who's not playing cavalry if they're very close. So in this case, Portuguese, more of an archer civ. That civ benefits a lot from having close quarters, because archers, they're less mobile, so they can close the distance faster, and they're harder to deal with on this kind of close quarters. Whereas knights and scouts with the high mobility, you don't mind if the guy is further away here. So just keep that in mind. It's very interesting, and it's a small advantage for Sitaux just based on the spawns here. And Sitaux, his map is a little harder to close actually, but he can probably get a nice wall towards the TC as well in certain cases here.
I'm just wondering, if I'm Sitaux, I would be very tempted to wall to the forest in front of the main gold, and then close it out on the right hand side and the top, and to the left hand side on the edge to the forest as well.
Yep, I agree with that.
These walls are a bit bigger, obviously. You don't want to go for those walls very early on, but that's something you should be aiming for in the long run.
I think you just house wall. Like when you do big walls like that, you want to palisade wall first and then house wall behind it. So that way, if some guy tries to attack it, you have a little bit more time to defend. Early barracks from Sitaux. Jordan, I have to talk to you about this. 2 militia drush in general. I'm not saying we're going to see it here, but 2 militia drush in general. Do you like that strategy? What do you think about it?
I'm a bit torn apart on that one, because I see where people are coming from when they want to go for that. But it feels like most of the time it's not going to be able to do too much damage. However, you can always cause some idle time on the villagers, and you can also follow it up with 1 or 2 more additional militia and then go for men-at-arms. So
So it
I
keeps you
think
flexible, basically.
it keeps you flexible, and you have the map control with it. So I think it has potential, but yeah, if your opponent is reacting very nice to that, then you should have the disadvantage, I guess. What do you think? I think you're not the biggest fan of it, right?
Yeah, so I've been saying it's completely useless. And here's my theory. I think a drush is very easy to defend with walls, with quick walls.
Yep.
However, if you make a mistake with 3 militia, you could lose a village very easily. But with 2 militia, I feel like it's very hard to lose a villager if you're just being very aware, and you can still wall it up very, very easily.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing actually 2 militia going forward from Sitaux. So we're seeing something like that here, actually, go down.
Yeah, and let's see
I
now.
don't know, it just
go
feels
ahead.
useless. Yeah, it just feels useless. That's the last point I'll say here.
Yeah, it didn't achieve anything in this regard, and maybe like if it is a very open Arabia, and there are hills on important resources, like on the mill, for example, then you can have hopes that your opponent messes up the quick walling. But yeah, it's just not working too well here, and now we have the stable coming up. And interestingly enough as well, that Classicpro has gone for the 19 villager uptime, even though he invested into the double bit X as well. So it felt like a very clean build order by him.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. So now he's on Bowsaw. He doesn't have Horse Collar just yet, but he's on Bowsaw, which is that's really big. He's also getting Horse Collar now. So Classicpro has one of the best economies you can have in Feudal Age here.
Yep.
Think of like a Celt bonus situation on Burgundians with that early Bowsaw here. Very, very solid. And Sitaux doesn't really have any way to do damage because he went to Militia Drush and it's doing nothing.
I think the only thing he has going for him is that he will have the archers and he will be able to deny the berries for a bit. Also taking a good hit on the scout here. And I like what Classicpro is doing here. He's adding an archer range. He's not being too greedy here. And up on seeing the archer play, he is going to add skirms as well. Because he knows the berries are very exposed. And he needs those berries desperately to get in the stable food economy. And I'm very curious about these walls from Sitaux. They look to me like MBL could have been placing those. So very interesting, but I like them.
Yeah, so I think that's just a way to get fully walled fast, so you don't die to scouts. It makes sense to me. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think it's it's just nice to feel secure. So now I always say this, but I think the best way to play aggressively is step 1, fully wall your base, because it sounds dumb, but if you full wall your base, all your attention now goes into your aggression, and now you can really focus on trying to break in or trying to get some good micro fights in there. So it's kind of the theory there for Sitaux.
Yeah, the biggest problem is if you are trying to be aggressive and try to make things happen, as the defender, it's always going to be easier to defend than for the aggressor to deal damage, and it's also easier for the defender to make counter plays. And if you're not walled and then all of a sudden you have 4 scouts in your base while you have used all the spears in the front to have your army a bit stronger, then all of a sudden you will lose 1 or 2 villagers. And that's just going to be a huge thing there.
Yeah, so now we're seeing a few archers from Sitaux. He's got 2 militia, spearmen. His army is not too bad, but Classicpro does have the response here with the skirmishers and the scouts. It ends up being a pretty balanced fight when you have archer, spear versus scout, skirm. But as soon as the skirm have 6 or 7 with armor, they will always win out versus archers. So keep that in mind here, that over time, Classicpro will have the better composition, and Sitaux knows that. He's backing up.
I feel like Sitaux has to back up to his base and wait for cast stage. What else can he really do against that army? The skirms are just going to completely shred everything he has right now, except that 1 scout. And Sitaux, he's playing very cautious right now, adding the market as well. He wants to get into the cast stage as soon as possible. And I like the way he's hiding here. Classicpro, he knows that there must be something out there, but he has not spotted it yet.
It's so annoying when you can't find your opponent's army, but you have a feeling it's there, and then you start second guessing yourself. You think maybe I was wrong, and we're actually Sitaux is selling stone. Wow.
Yeah, Sitaux wants to play this full 1TC. He's also most likely, I think what he's going to play here is 2 archer ranges into monastery.
Yeah, it's not a bad option. It's not a bad option at all.
Because
I do think, though,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I'm just thinking, from Burgundians, you're expecting the cavalry play, and you don't really want to play knights against that. So that's what my thought was.
No, 100% agreed. Yeah, you play Archer Monk Siege pretty much, and now yeah, we're seeing the second range, so you're absolutely correct there. Archer Monk Siege, really solid composition, and we're probably gonna see mainly skirm opening. At least I would assume mainly skirm opening for Classic Pro. I would actually say the best way to do it, he's got two options. Either you go for an all-in and you go skirms, one range, and then you go for Cavalier, or you try to go skirm, one range, and then you add two TCs. But he's adding a second range. I don't like that at all. I think it's always bad.
Adding the second range here, I think what he's thinking is, okay, I will have to counter the two archer ranges archer play with two archer range skirm play. Hera, do you want to elaborate why you don't like that move too much here?
So the whole point is, it's very simple actually. Like, you only need one range skirms to counter two range archers, because skirmishers, you don't need to have 30 of them. You just need like 8 to 10 to one-shot archers. Yep. And so you want to go up to like 15 so that if you lose one or two, you can still one-shot the archers and you're still scary. So one range is more than enough to do that. And if you start making like a second range, it's gonna make you have too much skirmishers, and B, that down payment to make the range is also quite costly. So here we're seeing Sitaux up the castle faster. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Sitaux nicely microing back here, and I liked what Classic Pro was trying to do. He was trying to jump onto the archers, maybe trying to get 1 or 2 kills to minimize the snowball, which could be happening. And Classic Pro, he's going to face 12 crossbows, which are fully upgraded now with Botkin and crossbows. Yeah, crossbow upgrade. And now, God, English is hard sometimes. Hallelujah.
you had so much doubt in your voice there for a second.
Yeah,
You're like, shit, it's not a crossbow.
Jordan, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Literally, like, you panicked for a second, but it's all good.
Yeah, like, no, retreat, no.
Oh god, no, it's all good. And yeah, obviously, fully upgraded crossbows. Siege Workshop, as you said. Monastery at home. Jordan, it's almost like you played this game, bro. Very, very good prediction there.
Well, Hera, you were adding the Siege Workshop as well, right? I was saying 2 archer ranges monks. True. And now you came with the Siege Workshop in addition. Yeah. It feels like you've been in those kind of positions already in your life.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's why we have a co-cast here. We kind of complete the strategy, both of us. We figured it out here. Sitaux is on another level, of course. He figured it out with just one person.
Just by himself.
Yeah, really independent there.
I love what Classic Pro is doing. He understands the situation he is in right now, and he's adding a Siege Workshop himself. And that Siege Workshop, I think, is the most important building right now for his defense. Because there is a Siege Workshop for Sitaux as well. Has he scouted that one? Yeah, he has. So he has full vision, he has full information, and his economy is going to be very safe thus far.
Yeah, so I think the big thing here, like the big thing for Sitaux is that he actually has Redemption as an option to counter Mangonels, or he can obviously try to Mangonel micro himself. It's going to be very micro intensive regardless here. Mangonel's out, Sitau's putting the pressure here. No ballistics for either player.
Yeah. And now we see the Mangonel coming out for Classic Pro as well. Both players dodging the shots here, so both are doing a very good job here. And when I'm thinking about... nice dodge here by Classic Pro. When I'm thinking about scalability, I would rather have crossbows plus Mangonel versus the skirms and Mangonels.
And that's why I think, like, if you're the skirm player, you need to kind of greed some economy, because if you just chill and like both players just get the imp or like get the late castlage, skirm Mangonel is much weaker than Arbalest Mangonel or Mangonel crossbows. So
yeah,
like, there's a lot of reasons why that's the case, but you just need to have more economy for the skirm player. So I don't like the second range and the no TCs here.
Yeah, and Sitaux able to kill one Mangonel. Okay, there's a 1-for-1 trade. And literally with the crossbows, why they should be better is that they have the ability to snipe Mangonels, while the skirms are not really having that. So
yeah.
But it heavily depends on the micro. Yeah, go ahead.
If you start adding some light cav in later stages of the game, it's going to be much better to add light cav or even knights with crossbow than with skirm. So good micro from Classic Pro though. He's doing okay with the Mangonels here. Not too bad at all. Skirms are also dealing with that Mangonel on the side. Oh, takes a big shot though. And
Sitaux, he doesn't have a villager there as to repair the Mangonels, which Classic Pro indeed had. And that's why we see Classic Pro pushing Sitaux a bit back here. And I would say both players having impeccable Mangonel Micro so far.
Yeah, those monks are very useless from Sitaux, though. I will say he invested 300 gold, or a bit less because it's Portuguese, on monks that did very, very little right now. So I'm not sure. Does he want to go redemption one day? Are those just in case there's knights? Like that feels like a wasted investment to me.
I guess he was expecting the cavalry play from Classicpro, but obviously that was not the case. And we see now Classicpro being pushed back heavily here. He hasn't, meanwhile, added a second TC. Sitaux is going to add a second TC himself as well. Economy-wise, it feels like Classicpro has the slight advantage here, but it's not going to be a big thing at all. And yeah, now the skirms are being pushed back here. And the moment where Classicpro is losing the hill on the main stone and he's losing his siege workshop, that's the moment where he should be panicking.
Yeah, so I think like monumental mistake from Classicpro to counterattack with skirmishers. I mean, what are skirmishers gonna do? And you're just giving the chance for Sitaux to just take the front of your base now. It's such a risky thing, and I often see it from players that are they just try to win too much and they end up losing because of it. Like now the skirmishers are doing a counterattack. Listen, I'm not saying it's completely useless, but I'm just saying it's such a big risk for such a little reward.
Yeah, definitely. And also, yeah, and Sitaux, he's adding knights as well. He has scaleboarding armor in already as well, so he will be able to fend off the skirms pretty easily. And we have Mangonel Micro coming in. Both players are trading 1-for-1. And Classicpro, he has ballistics already. We haven't mentioned that. But the ballistics, they are not going to be so, or in general, the technology is not going to be too useful in those kind of shenanigans, because you'd rather have the Mangonel numbers compared to the ballistics here. And wow, a big shot for Sitaux here. And the
how did the Mangonel not die, bro?
That
was like...
I have no idea.
But if that was my Mangonel, it's dead 10 out of 10 times for sure. Like,
yeah,
no way.
I always feel like that as well. And now
yeah.
we see the Mangonel against the skirms, and the skirms definitely are going to be able to kill the Mangonel. So beautiful micro here by Classicpro, but now they should be dying against those knights here.
+1 knights. I think he's actually fine here. Sitaux kind of overreacting to the skirms, but maybe he's gonna be able to clear it up. Maybe one or two more knights should be fine there. But yeah, Sitaux still has that push on the front with the Mangonels. That's where most of his focus is right now.
Oh, nice snipe. Attacking the farm.
Yeah. Oh, you saw it as well. Nice. Yeah. Attacking the farm, guys. That makes the shot go even further than normal, because if you attack the farm, it goes to the middle of the farm. Kind of weird how it works, but nice play from Sitaux there. Gets a nice little pick there.
Yeah, but it feels like in terms of Mangonel Micro, both players are trading equally here. I don't think anyone has taken any advantage here. And something we haven't mentioned yet, Hera, is that Sitaux has gone for redemption. He's going for sanctity now himself, and having that is going to be such a beautiful factor. And he's going to push back Classicpro heavily. Classicpro, meanwhile, on 3 TC, so he has not ignored the fact that he needs to add additional economy. But it feels like Sitaux has all the tools he needs right now to be able to push him back so heavily.
So I don't know what you do against the redemption here. It's going to be very hard to stop. I think like light cav isn't really an option because you don't get bloodlines as Burgundians. It's very risky.
Yeah.
4th town center from Classicpro. He is chilling, but it might be a bit greedy here. Yeah. Redemption bonks down.
Are you serious? How is that? If that was my Mangonel, it would have been converted 10 out of 10 times.
For sure. Like, this is so crazy. This is why I hate watching Mangonel and Monk Wars, because it just feels like when I watch it, it's completely different than what the reality is when I'm playing it.
Yeah. Guys, don't trust this, what we are seeing right now. This is only in the movies.
Literally, though, it's crazy the kind of things I see happen to other people. But, you know, it is what it is. RNG with the monks.
Yeah.
Controversial topic for sure, but it's a part of the game at the moment. We have 3 Mangonels, 3 monks with redemption pushing forward. Only 1 Mangonel to defend now, and a few skirmishers. But the skirms getting more and more useless here, guys, as the knights are being added.
And Hera, look at how much stone, or how many villagers Sitaux has on stone right now.
Ooh, 25, big boy.
I think he is. I think he wants to place a castle, and I would love to see a castle from him on the mill. Because that would literally get everything denied. Let's say 7% of the economy of Classicpro, And also, oh, we see it!
That's so good. That's so
Yeah.
good. I would even like it a little bit further and
Yes,
further
yes.
forward, and that's like
Yeah.
completely perfect. But
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
the right idea here, guys. Forward castle, and this is why, like,
Oh.
okay, defensive castle. Okay, this is huge.
But that could be stopped, I think. Because
Yeah.
Sitaux, he has all the tools necessary. And I think that must be the game. Because I don't see how Classicpro can ever defend against this.
Oh god, this is why he added 4 TCs. He completely disrespected the push with Sitaux. Classicpro needs to send every villager he has to just get this up now. Like at this point, he does have redemption mode. Converts one mangonel.
What? The mangonel was killed.
crazy.
It was killing 2 mangonels of Sitaux, and now the Classicpro's castle is going to go up here.
Oh my, that was actually a sick play. But I think Sitaux still gets his castle up faster. Both castles will be up. It might be a petard war here, but you still lose so much economy if you're Classicpro. You still lose a lot of economy from this.
Yeah.
Very interesting position though.
Yeah, I mean, Classicpro now has to rebuild his economy, and I absolutely love the way how Classicpro has defended that one. I thought originally he's completely out of this game. He bought the castle, he also got redemption in the meanwhile, getting a beautiful conversion onto that mangonel of Sitaux, and therefore he was able to kill 2 mangonels with Sitaux as well, and then getting the castle up. Otherwise, he would not have ever been able to do so. And we see Classicpro, he's investing into skateboarding army now. And Sitaux, instead of going for a fast imp here, he wants to get another castle up onto the main stone of Classicpro.
And I think that's huge because like controlling stone in these messy games lets you do more castles, and it makes it harder for your opponent to also get castles himself. So it works double for you. And that castle controls the hill, controls the stone. And Sitaux, guys, no respect for his own economy here, guys. He's got like, I think he has like 30 vills forward now and combined, maybe more.
Yeah.
And he's making some petards as well. So both players are completely committing to Castle Age, but in different ways. We have Coutier coming out now from Classicpro, petards and castles from Sitaux. And I'm not sure which position I favor. I think I prefer Sitau's position, but I don't like the petards though. I think petards are bad.
You think petards are bad? Well, I think if he is capable of getting the petards onto that castle, then he has a lot of things going for him. But he needs to be obviously very cautious on how he is using them, because right now he's sending them out and he's building another castle here on the left hand side. It feels like the only way Classicpro can push this back is by going to Imperial Age and then into Bomber Cannons or Trebuchet.
Yeah, you just need Imperial Age here. I don't even know, like... So the thing is, from his position, he should know that Sitaux is not going imp, because Sitaux invests into 3 castles, which is so much, right? Like that's huge. So Classicpro with the score lead should kind of know he can have a little bit of a lead right now, and he's doing the right thing to expand. But you need Imperial Age, because if you can get Imperial Age, 1 trap can kill everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And 1 trap is already enough to push everything back. And Sitau's economy, I mean, he has a lot of villagers, but as you mentioned, we have a lot of villagers forward. And now I like what Classicpro is doing. He's realizing that he's not going to be pushed in his main base, and now he's trying to make the Costalier play. And for me personally, that's the most annoying unit out there.
Yeah, it's so cancer, man. It's dude, the whole charge attack is just way too strong of a mechanic, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree there. It feels like if you watch Vivi playing them, for example, he's always picking Burgundians, and it is just so annoying to play against. It's just like hallelujah.
Because the thing is, it's unfair in the sense that like you have no time. If you get hit, you're gonna lose at least 1 vill, because they just do like 35 damage on the first shot. So they're not overpowered in the sense of they're not impossible to kill, but as a raiding unit, they feel unfair to play against, and that's what we're seeing here. From the Coutier.
Yeah, so Sitaux miles away from or imping himself, and now we see a lot of petards being ungarrisoned into the castle, and I think that castle is going to go down. No! He went to the mill instead of the castle!
Did he actually misclick the mill?
Yeah!
One more petard, it goes down. Oh my god, that's huge. I think Classicpro wins from here.
Classicpro is going to win this game. He definitely is going to win this one.
He's fine.
Oh god, what a fail. If he kills that castle, then he has a lot of things going for him. But now he has to abandon this one. And yeah, I guess Classicpro is going to take this one home because he's doing beautiful raids as well, adding 2 stables on the right hand side of Sitau's base.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't really see how Sitau can really fend this one off. And then meanwhile, Classicpro going to Imperial as well.
Yeah, a beautiful display of not panicking when you get forward castle here. It's such a common mistake to just hard panic against, you know, forward castles in your base. But as you can see, there are ways to deal with it here. And the first step is to not panic and just expand your economy. And now the counterattack just did such a big thing for Classicpro with distracting Sitau. Also, there's some stables now on the right hand side for Classicpro with some monks. That's interesting.
Yep. And he was converting 4 villagers, which were taking gold, if I'm not mistaken. And now he has villagers forward as well to build the buildings from the front. And I think, Sitau is going for another castle. He's really desperate, trying to make the play here. But, I mean, what does that castle really do here? I feel like nothing.
I just say though, like, even if Sitau killed the castle with the petards, what does that do, right? Because it's like Classicpro loses a castle, but then he still has another one to make Couturier, and Sitau has no follow-up. So you go petards, you kill the castle, and then what? Then you're just standing there. So the petards felt like a little bit of over-investment there. And yeah, that next castle, it's literally just hitting 1 town center, and it's gonna get trapped down most likely here. But Sitau, a little bit desperate. Couturier coming in, decides against it though.
I mean, there's no need, I feel, for Classicpro to rush any aggression right now. He just has to wait for the Trebuchet to come in. And yeah, I don't see any big threat from Classicpro as well, or for Classicpro as well. And adding another castle here. And I'm just wondering, where the hell is he getting all the stone from? Because he doesn't have any stone access.
Yeah, I think he had a lot built up over time because he really went ham on stone. But yeah, now Classicpro and Imperial Age, and the stone becomes so... It's like such a weak resource once Trebuchet comes out on the field. It's still good to have, but if that's your only strategy, if that's your main strategy, the forward castles, it becomes very weak once the Trebuchets are there here.
And we see Sitau being forced to tap out of this one, realizing that he has not anything going for him anymore. And Classicpro, beautiful display, as you mentioned, Hera, not panicking to the heavy aggression by Sitau and taking it in a very cool and smart way. And yeah, able to win the game number 2, which means we have an equalized set right now.
All right, it's my turn. It's my time to shine here. This is what I've been waiting for, guys. We got game 3 between Classicpro and Sitau. We got Sitau playing in blue as the Turks, his opponent Classicpro playing in the yellow as the Persians. And the map is, of course, Land Madness, one of my favorite maps ever, actually. And Jordan, why don't you tell the viewers here a little bit about this map, and what do you think of the Civ matchup as well here?
So, before I answer the question, Hera, I'm not surprised that this is one of your favorite maps ever, because, you know, the map itself is designed in a way that you cannot really wall yourself. It's very hard because the rocky terrain you see here on this map doesn't allow you to build any buildings on it. Therefore, connecting your wood lines to TC is literally impossible. You can do small walls here, here and there, but you'll never be able to wall the TC or the base fully, and therefore this map is inviting for a lot of aggression, which is also the reason why I have this map in the tournament, because I love the aggressive playstyles and not so much the full walling. So yeah.
Personally, like for me, when I think of like what makes a map good, I want to see multiple strategies that can work. I don't like to see all-out aggression being the only approach, and I don't like to see that full walling is the only approach. And I think Land Madness, you can play defensively. It's not like you have to go all in every time. You can play defensively, but you can't just sit behind your walls and chill, you know? So we'll see what the approaches is here, or are here for the players. And just judging from the Civ matchup here, we got Turks versus Persians. Right away, I'm thinking Turks in Castle Age with Cav Archers feels pretty solid. Persians maybe a little bit more with the stable line as how they like to play things out here. But yeah, I don't know. It should be interesting.
I feel like on a map like this, mobility is going to be the biggest factor, and therefore both civilizations have a good tool for that. We have the night play for the Persians most likely, and as you mentioned, Turks are going for a CA in Castle Age, I would assume. But before getting there, we will have some Fuel Age play. At least that's what I'm expecting, as the map is so open and it's very fragile. So how are both going to approach this one? What we have seen so far in the last months or years on this map is two approaches. We see a stable opening into then more stables most of the time, or we see archer opening followed with spears. So we will see two archers, two spears standing forward, and if you're opening scouts, that can really be hurting you a lot. So Hera, how do you like to approach these kind of situations?
I've always been a scouts guy in general, but over the years, I think that I felt like full scouts sucks ass now. Like that's my general opinion. I don't know what happened. I think that players got so good at not dying to full scouts that even if they're fully open, sometimes I feel like I can't get enough damage. People know how to micro against it. People make a lot of spears. They respect it. And my go-to strategy used to be full scouts. On this map, I think the best strategy now is to go scouts mixed with archers. Or, some just archer opening right away into maybe a stable later. But yeah, just wanted to say, full scouts, the two stable approach that I used to like one day, I don't think it's very good nowadays. So just a little bit of insight there, I think.
Yeah, it's also very easy to counter the full scout play, just build spears. And that's it. That shuts down the scout play. And if we're thinking about Turks and Persians in Feudal Age, I'm thinking about Persians has little advantage in terms of getting the villages out faster, yes, but they don't really have too much going other than that. And Turks, they are not the best civilization for those kind of shenanigans as well. They get faster gold income with the villagers, yes, but nothing really else going for them. So if we're looking into it, Hera, which civilization would you prefer? I would say it should be rather equal in Feudal Age.
Analysis there. Neither civ is really that powerhouse that you'd expect in a feudal age on this map, because of course they're picking each other's civilization, so we're going to see the weaker or the tier 2 kind of civs, maybe even tier 3 according to some people here, but nonetheless both players will go up reasonably fast here. Classicpro though, 19 pop for the Persians, 21 for Sitaux. That tells me Sitaux wants to play defensively and Classicpro wants to play aggressively for the most part here. Barracks already coming down here.
Yeah, and I would assume both players are going for scouts right now, because the way things are shaping out right now, neither of them is on gold. Both have committed to the 2 lumber camps as well. So I'm expecting the full scout play, and this should be a scout fest. And Hera, as you have a lot of experience in those kind of things, what would you say is the most important thing in, if both players are opening scouts? Is it about, should you add an archer range? Should you commit fully onto scout spears? What is your go-to here?
I think Turks has to add archer range, because you cannot play Turk cavalry versus Persian cavalry. Persians will be much better because of your economy. So I think Turk has to add archer range, but Persian can go too stable. Because if you go too stable with Persian, pikeman is not an option for Turk, so there's no threat there. And if it's cavalry versus cavalry, Persian is winning with better economy. So yeah, I think with Turks you add a range, with Persian you have a choice. And that's the advantage that Persians get.
Okay, so we indeed have the stables coming up for Sitaux and Classicpro. Classicpro being a bit faster as he went up to the Feudal Age, one village first faster. And I don't think neither of them is going to be able to deal too much damage, because scouts, they will struggle against walls, and Classicpro and Sitaux have quick walled or preemptively walled in their resources already. Yeah,
so it's by the way, what time are you at in the game?
10:30.
Perfect. Yeah, same here. Just wanted to make sure, because I had accidentally went back a little bit here, but
okay.
Yeah, so walls around the wood lines here. I think so. Scouts, they're actually a very flexible opening. Like, you get obviously the chance to do damage, but if your opponent is wall, don't think that the scouts are useless. You still get really good map control and really good vision. So that's why it's still a fine position for both players here, of course.
And that is a very important information, because the scouts, they are so mobile that they also can give you the map control and the vision and the information subsequently, which you need to also adapt to what your opponent is doing, as Age of Empires is a very strategical based oriented game there. That is always going to be helpful here. Classicpro not finding any damage here, but should be able also to defend the incoming scouts from Sitaux. And both players are just playing around now. And having a hole right now would be disastrous.
right away seeing Sitaux, he is going for the berries because that's literally the only place you can do damage. But there's a spearman there. But he's trying his best to out micro that thing as best he can.
Yeah, yeah.
Classicpro as well, looking for whatever opening they can here, guys, because 1-2 villagers, if you can get a nice lead, it can really make or break the game here when it's a mirror match in terms of the strategies. So
exactly. We see Sitaux now transitioning into gold as well here, and Classicpro, he's just further expanding in terms of getting more farms out, and it looks like it is, as you predicted here, that Sitaux wants to add the archer play.
Yeah, you just have to. And I think it's going to be a bit more of a defensive approach now, because if you add archers, yes, you can put pressure with archers and scouts, but you just lack a lot of mobility.
Yeah.
Almost lost a scout there. You lack a lot of mobility, so just playing safe and defensive with archers makes a lot of sense here. I would love to see Classicpro add a second stable. I think that would be really cool to see. More scouts, but I don't think we're going to see that. There's the range as well for Sitaux now.
Yeah, and now Classicpro, he's trying to get himself onto the gold as well, but he was forced to go away with the villager because he knew exactly that Sitaux has some scouts there in that area. And now he's bringing back his scouts as well, because, you know, you want to take care that these scouts are going to be cleaned up or just be neutralized, because you want to have your piece. You don't want to focus on the quick walling all the time eventually.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, you want to chill a little bit. You want to make sure that nothing's going wrong. Wheelbarrow for both players. This whole wheelbarrow in Fuel Age, that's something I'm not sure about as well. I'm not sure if you should get it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Yeah.
I'm a big fan to do it if you're aiming for heavy cavalry play in Castle Age.
Okay.
Because it feels like their economy should be a bit better there. But
yeah,
that's just my feeling on that one.
Fair
and
enough.
Especially if you have so many farms here. With archers, it doesn't make any sense, I feel.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of logic there. For me, it's pretty random whether I get it or not. I'm not gonna lie. That's something I don't put too much thought in. But yeah, we're seeing now a good number of scouts from both players. No one finding too much advantage. Second stable for Classicpro. That's a little late. That's a little late, actually. Very late. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, at this point, you either commit to the Castle Age or... yeah, it's kind of an in-between thing. And now he's adding the blacksmith as well. So it feels like he's rushing a bit. While Sitaux, he has a beautiful combination of units right now. He has a lot of spears, a lot of scouts, and 2 archers.
Dude, the 6 spears, Classicpro is screwed, man. He cannot fight that ever.
Yeah.
Forging now coming in as well for Sitaux, and he's bringing those 2 archers are huge because that means that you can't wall this army out. So
yeah,
this is big.
Yeah, for sure. And now I feel like Classicpro is in a position where he really will struggle a lot against this. He's forced to. Oh, there's a hole! There's a hole!
Oh,
no!
a hole.
Oh, Classicpro is
that's
going.
Game.
Yeah, that's game.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's game.
Wow.
I mean, he's going to kill those archers, but he lost so many villagers in the process. 4 already. And yeah, that was definitely a big blunder. However,
Classicpro... meanwhile...
Yeah. Classicpro tries to do something, but he's not really too successful in doing so. At this point, I feel like you have to jump with those scouts because you need to neutralize the damage somehow.
Something has to be done, yeah. It's not pretty because there's some spears there. Good defense by Sitaux, but he gets 2 villagers, he gets 3. It's not the worst.
Yeah.
Turned into a very messy game though all of a sudden. It's so crazy. It's clean for 15 minutes. 16 minutes is clean. And then just the last 2 minutes of Feudal Age and just absolute chaos breaks out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the beginning it's rather easy because, we've been in these positions thousands of times already. Just wall your resources. But eventually you will have over-chopping situations, or you will just not have every single resources defended as Sitaux had his main gold. And Sitaux able to kill 1 villager here on the farm. Nice done by him. And we have a 3 villager lead for Sitaux. But the biggest tale here is that he is going up to Castle Age, while Classicpro not even close to that. He's fully committed to Feudal Age play, and he will not be able to do anything with those stable only.
like the thing is, all in scouts, it's not a strategy that you just randomly do in feudal. You have to be like prepared to do it. You need to be ahead of the curve with the scouts to make it work. You cannot just randomly decide to do it
Yeah.
mid feudal age, and that's something that Classic Pro did, and it slowed him down a lot while giving him almost zero pressure with those scouts. He got the worst of both worlds. And Sitaux now, 7 spears in that army, going all the way forward now.
Yeah.
It is
Oh,
keeping
God.
his gold exposed, though. It
Yeah.
is keeping his gold exposed.
Yeah, he needs to get out spears as soon as possible. Sitaux is. He hasn't lost any villagers in the process, so that was nicely done by him. But it is definitely altering his or haltering the gold income for him. And yeah, now he desperately tries to get back in there. But oh boy, Classic Pro has been much more successful than I was expecting with that aggression here.
Yeah, but now so the issue here is that like Sitaux can eventually fight those scouts with some spears, whereas I actually feel like Classic Pro can never fight this army. Like he needs, even Cast Age will not be enough because knights will die to those spearmen. So there's actually no defense. I would be very terrified. I think you need a tower maybe is the only chance.
Yeah. I mean, he in theory would need a tower on the wood line, then he would be fine, but that's not something he has right now. He is doing some good damage onto the main gold of Sitaux, but trading a lot of scouts for these villagers is not really the best fight, and yeah, I feel like Classic Pro is definitely panicking right now. How's the situation looking now? 39 villages for Sitaux, 41 for Classic Pro, but he has such a huge army advantage. Luckily for him, Sitaux cannot upgrade to pikeman.
Yeah, that's huge. If you can get pikeman upgrade, you definitely would need to switch to a range at some point, because you cannot fight pikemen in this kind of messy situation. You cannot make enough knights to fight them in most cases here. But Sitaux is getting so much value here done. Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. I love these kind of games, by the way. I just want to say that real quick.
It's amazing, right? You see action all over the place. Both players are trying to trade blow for blow. And yeah, it feels like Sitaux is definitely taking the advantage here. Has killed a lot of villagers of Classic Pro so far. 11 eco KD right now. No, 11 kills and 3 deaths. So I'm surprised that Classic Pro has only been able to kill 3 villagers in the process here. And Sitaux adding a monastery right now. And has 2 stables, pumping out knights as Turks. Interesting.
So it's exactly what I was talking about at the start of the game as well. He has some camos, by the way, as well. Really investing into those counter units. It's exactly what I was talking about. Like, full scouts feel so fragile. And if you go for full scouts, it feels like your execution has to be perfect. Because if you start slipping up, you're just going to hard die. And you cannot defend yourself against just the simple spearman archer composition. So, yeah, just such an interesting turn of events that we've seen in this game. 2 towers now defending Classic Pro. He might think of some aggression, but he is... Yeah, he is, you know, kind of spread thin here.
Definitely, and also I like what Sitaux is doing on the left-hand side. He's completely walling off his base, and therefore Sitaux will have it so much easier to fend off any incoming attacks here by his counterpart. And I think the walls should be up in time before the knights are arriving at Sitaux's base. In the meanwhile, Sitaux is trying to do something with the army on the right-hand side as well, but he is not going to be too successful in doing that, as the towers are defending very nicely for Classic Pro.
Armor now coming in for Sitaux, healing up his camels and villagers at home, playing it super safe. And this is something I like, by the way. When you have an advantage, play safe.
Yep. You will take the lead anyway, because the opponent is kind of forced to make something happen. And if you're playing aggressive, you always lead or leave the potential of your opponent to deal counter damage. Yeah.
It's something I really struggled with as a player when I was, you know, when I was kind of new to the scene, new as a top player, and kind of playing these big names with a lot of experience. I always tried to kill, and I didn't realize that sometimes you get a small advantage, and then you just sit on that advantage and you win that way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something you need to learn over the years for sure.
Yeah, I feel like patience is a skill which is heavily underrated or underestimated, and yeah, once you learn the patience game, it is definitely something which will improve your skills. And I learned that a bit playing Age of Empires 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Patience. Okay.
Yeah. I felt like you're never going to be able to kill your guy. You have to be patient.
Yeah, true. Yeah, attacking is very hard in that game actually.
Yeah. Okay, we have Sitaux expanding, adding the second TC here. He's also adding a second monastery indeed, so he wants to have a
Ooh.
huge mass of monks and camels. And yeah, very interesting approach. He's playing it a bit differently than I was expecting him to do it.
Yeah. I thought we'd see like, I never thought we'd see camels for both players, to be honest. That never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
But monks are super OP in this situation, especially against camels, because they do very little damage to the monks. And look at it, like Classicpro lost his whole army sniping one monk.
Yeah, that was not the best trade here, and he currently has 11 army against the 25 of Sitaux. So he has a huge disadvantage here compared to Sitaux, and now he's forced to build a monastery himself, expanding to the second monastery, and Sitaux, he can fight that easily.
This is an absolute stomp for Sitaux. Like, you definitely take that fight every time. Don't be scared of one monk in this situation, guys.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes you hear a monk sound, you go back, but...
Yeah, at this point, you
I love this. Sitaux is going in. He's not backing up. He's not respecting Classicpro at all. It's perfect. So good.
Yeah. And there is no flashing on the TC as well, so he doesn't have to respect the TC as much. And indeed, Sitaux able to take the win of the third game here. Nicely
sick game.
Done.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this map? I think you have, right?
I've seen it multiple times. I've casted a lot of players on it, and I actually think the best strategy has been castle dropping or heavy aggression on one side and walling the other side.
Yeah, for sure. That way you're just putting the full emphasis on one place instead of having to take care of both sides. And how would you open on this map in Fuel Age, Hera?
So, like, I'm so conflicted because scouts are useless. We can pretty much agree scouts are going to be useless. So I think the best thing to do is probably open one range and either do like archers or skirmishers depending on like the civ matchup. So I think in this case, if I'm melee, I open one range archers and I'm perfectly fine. I don't think men at arms is ever a good idea on this map, and I don't think scouts is really a good option. So I think just one range archers and then you're completely fine. I could maybe in some case see a Drush FC being fine though as well.
Yeah. Drush FC, wow, interesting.
Yeah,
that's something which has
defensive.
which has never been crossing my mind. But yeah, maybe I'm putting in some thought into that one. I still am in the tournament, so
yeah, it's not bad. But I think you have to be careful because if you Drush FC, you need to make sure you're able to defend your gold. So it really Drush FC with Classicpro map can never happen. With Sitau's map, maybe you can, and then you can just tower it in certain cases. But I think safest approach, one range. You're completely fine. Nothing can go wrong. Nothing can go wrong when you have one range.
Yeah. Okay, so we see Sitaux. He was desperately trying to get a elephant kill on the north side. He was not able to succeed in that. But if he is going for a lane, he's going for a lane. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not even good. Your opponent has 3 boars. Like, it doesn't even matter actually.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much, right? And I feel like the villager idle time of Sitaux is going to be much of a bigger deal than Classicpro losing the elephant here. And there are also 3 berries as well, right? It feels like an overcommitment there.
Yeah. You're getting so little. Oh, I actually like what he did there. He killed the elephant with the scout the last hit. So you can't even take the... Oh, that's so smart. You can't even take the meat.
Is that new to you, or you know that trick, right?
No, I mean, I know about it, but that was new to me. Like, I've never seen that happen. Like,
oh, really? Ah, okay.
That's interesting, yeah. I obviously know about the mechanic, but I never thought of doing it like that, yeah.
Ah, okay. That's new to me as well, that you have not known that, because, I mean, you're playing with MBL in the team, so...
Yeah, you'd think MBL would go for that, but MBL, he lets it there to rot, so the enemy can eat a little bit and feel like, man... You know... When you're spoiled, you're used to something, but then it gets taken away a little bit, and you start crying about it. That's what MBL does to you. You know what I mean? He takes away the luxury. He lets you live. You know?
Yeah. He's not too evil in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. Just some mild psychological pressure for him. We're not seeing the barracks from Sitaux. I think he might go for the useless 2 militia drush, maybe a 3 militia drush.
Useless.
I hate it, man. It's so
Hera is not biased at all when casting.
it's never done anything against me, and I never, like, I don't use it, so I don't know. I've never done anything with it. I've never seen anyone lose to it, so I don't know. We'll see what the future holds.
Next time I play against you on ladder, I will do 2 militia rush no matter what, and I will try my best to make something happen.
I would love to see what you can bring to the table with it. 'Cause prove me wrong, like, please prove me wrong. That's what strategy games are all about. Like, you have your ideas, then someone proves you wrong, you grow as a player.
Yeah.
But so far, man, the 2 militia rush has been absolutely useless from my perspective.
Oh, okay. So we have Classicpro 1 minute away from a fuel age, and Sitaux, okay, he's Malay, right? So he will be able to catch up very soon as well. However, yeah, just 24, 25 seconds trailing behind there. He has a huge villager lead though, and Classicpro on the northern side, he is going to pull the trigger here. He wants to put in negation. And I guess we will see forward tower as well with a forward archer range.
So I actually think this is like the worst approach on this map, because if you attack one side, you can't switch to the other side.
Yep.
So I actually think that towers seems really bad in this case. At least like this. I think if you want a tower, you send only 1 villager. But if you're sending 4, feels really bad, honestly. Because you can never switch to the other side.
Yeah, I mean, if he is winning the northern side, that would mean that Sitaux is not going to have the 2 berries, but it depends also, like, what is the reward for all the investment he's doing, because 4 villagers not working at home right now is, if you're going for such a fast uptime, definitely a huge deal.
Yeah, like, I'm just thinking, like, Sitaux, in a worst case, Sitaux is losing berries. That's it. He can't really lose a vill to this even.
Yep.
And now we're seeing a tower investment from Classicpro. We have men at arms investment. We have a skirm investment. If I was Sitaux, I would completely ignore the side, relocate some villagers on the wood, and just counterattack with some archers and some spears. I think that would be, and I think Sitaux will do that actually.
Well, he has not placed a counter tower. I'm not sure what I think about that one. You just abandon the situation completely. I think I would have placed the tower here.
I think I abandon, honestly.
Okay.
I'm good, yeah. I think both approaches can be fine, but I think I abandon and I'm chilling. You have the bears on the other side. You save the tower because you might need it later, and then you just counterattack, which is exactly what Sitau's doing. I'm very happy seeing this as Sitaux.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe not placing the counter tower here is even better, because it kind of plays into Classicpro's strategy as well, because he will have the archers to reinforce. No, he will have the archers which can jump into the tower, and then you force things. But this way, Classicpro has not really achieved anything, and Sitaux is the one who's getting in the villager kills here.
I love how you say Sitaux, by the way.
How would you say it?
No, I think it's actually pronounced Sitaux, like
Sitaux?
in French.
Okay.
But it's hard for us. Like, even I'm not a French speaker, so I would pronounce it differently. But you put so much emphasis on the O part. It's like Sitaux. I love it.
Yeah, I
had to mention it.
I have also a command in my chat, which literally when someone is saying Sitaux, it has 10 O's in there. So
Yeah.
big emphasis on the O indeed.
I love it. This is just like international game, guys. What can we do, man? What can we do? A German pronouncing a French person's name,
and the Canadian
with the Canadian, like, it's just,
the Canadian laughing about it.
Of course, yeah, the Quebecois. Let's go. But yeah, interesting situation here. We have the counterattack from Sitaux, and he is forcing Classicpro away. But now we're seeing a split map situation where Classicpro has that entire top side, and Sitaux has the entire bottom side. That's what it feels like, right?
That's exactly how it is, and the problem here and I have no idea why, Classicpro is trailing behind 3 villagers, and he, in addition to that, doesn't have wheelbarrow, while okay, he's Malay. Okay, that makes sense, but he's still Malay has
2 vills, and he also killed 2 vills. I think 3 vills. So it's
wow,
it's insane. Yeah,
that's
Sitaux
insane.
has a massive advantage right now.
Yeah, and he also has both the double blacks, which Classicpro has just gotten himself. So economy-wise, Sitaux looks in a much better position, and it feels like the approach he has gone for, which is also the one which you suggested, is so much better than building a counter tower himself here.
Yeah, and so the issue here is, like, Sitaux is in a situation where he can have a really smooth transition to Castle Age with crossbows, and I don't know what Classicpro can do, because as Bohemians, You could play crossbows versus melee, but then you're risking melee going fast imp, and then it gets really complicated. So
Yeah.
I would say that the game is super smooth here for Sitaux. Just defend the men at arm aggression. He's now getting a tower here. I think that's just in case, you know.
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
just doesn't want to lose here.
Yeah, he doesn't want to take any risks here, and also all of his economy is on this side, so you definitely wanna secure that part.
A little bit sloppy though, a little bit sloppy. I think that's something that's natural in tournaments. Actually, I was rewatching Hidden Cup, the set we had as well the other day, and I noticed that, at least for me, I was very sloppy in a lot of games, even though I would say that I was in good shape for that tournament and practiced a lot. So it's natural in tournaments to have these moments where you seem more sloppy than normal.
It is so hard to play your A game in tournament games because, you know, the pressure's on and, you know, your mind is also playing along. And, you know, playing smooth in ladder game, that's easy. But in tournament games, you will always have people doing certain mistakes. Except maybe, I would say Viper is that kind of guy who's really excelling. Also Leary. And, yeah, I feel like you have grown as well a lot as a player.
Yeah, I used to be a lot more nervous.
Yeah.
But Viper's the perfect example of no nerves in tournaments.
Exactly.
He's really stone cold killer in tournaments, which is exactly what the mentality you need to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're seeing now like the transition into the castle age. We're seeing stable to counter the skirms just in case. Sitaux is really covering all bases. But I think that he's making some skirms now, which is just the wrong approach. You should just go crossbows here. You're up faster. You're in a good position. Don't make it a defensive unit. That makes no sense.
Yeah, especially he has so much committed onto stone as well, and he definitely wants to put the castle onto his opponent's TC. And yeah, with skirms, you're not going to be able to do the exact same effort as you could do with crossbows. He's able to deny the tower of Classicpro on the northern side.
Yeah,
and this looks very good for Sitaux right now.
Well, what is the forward castle meta? Like, is this just Sitaux doing this? I've never seen so much emphasis on forward castles in my life before.
Sitaux loves that. Sitaux really loves that. Yeah, I mean, he's a very aggressive player in general. Doesn't like to have the yeah. Here we have the forward castle here. He doesn't like to play the macro game as much as he enjoys the, you know, hyper aggressive micro orientated games. And yeah, that's why we see a lot of aggression from him. And he's pulling 15 villages right now to build that cast. I think that one is going to go up.
Yeah, I don't mind this playstyle when you have a lead, because a forward castle can be very hard, you know, very hard to stop. And I think on a map like this, it makes sense. I actually like it on a map like this, because with one castle, you completely control one side of the map, and it gives you a lot of value. On other maps, maybe I don't agree with it as much, but this map, I'm very happy to see that forward castle come down from Sitaux. Also, the knight clearing some villas at his base from Classicpro, so Classicpro is losing on all fronts right now.
Yeah, and now he realizes that a lot of villages are taken down by Sitaux. But yeah, he only was able to save one villager. And I think Sitaux should also be able to get into the main base of Classicpro, because Classicpro, he's not going to be able to rewall after the castle has been gone up here.
Yep.
The spearmen.
Okay.
The spearmen obviously doing nice damage against the knights, as they are dealing 25% more damage here. But Sitaux should still be very happy with all the idle time he has been causing so far.
Yeah. And I think the situation for Classicpro is pretty dire, because like with a forward castle, you're basically guaranteed to lose your town center. You cannot stop that. And although not much else has went down so far for Classicpro, that's just in that itself, it's a lot of damage here. So Karambits are in, Knights trying to get in, walls come down, not too bad.
Yeah, that was a bit sloppy by Sitaux. He could have easily sniped that villager, as that one was not walled in time. And now we have the Karamba warriors, and you know, what does Classicpro really have going for him right now to fight against Karamba warriors? And I feel like he has nothing.
Yeah, nothing indeed. And Karamba warrior is such a bad unit in early castle age in general.
Yeah.
But in a situation like this, where the game is so chaotic and so messy, and no one has a big ball of crossbow, it actually ends up being very good, because monks aren't good against it. You know, knights are okay against it, but in low numbers, Karambits will win.
Yeah.
And so it's just a perfect, you know, situation for melee to shine here. And back home, Sitaux still in one town center, not in a rush to add economy. The game is way too messy for that. I love his approach here.
Yeah, also adding the ram right now to kill kill the tower. The Classicpro, he will push that one back a bit, but obviously not going to endure too much here because the villagers are going to repair the ram, and also the Karambit warrior is taking care of business. And that means all the forward position is going to be lost from Classicpro.
Yeah, yeah, and that forward position is like the only thing he's really accomplished this game. Straight from the get-go with the men on forward, got the forward position, and then kind of just sat on it. But now losing it, and the right-hand side with the castle, you're not breaking free of that area. TC just went down, by the way, and it's the zero TC situation for Classicpro once again. It's so bad to be in this position.
Man, Hera, if you have missed something throughout the last months, it is definitely the zero strategy, a zero TC strategy into the all-in, and that's maybe something we'll be seeing now from Classicpro as well. He doesn't have anything going for him right now in terms of the economical part. He needs to put every single thing right now into the aggression.
I don't have a lot of faith into this though. Yeah, he's now rushing a TC at home. It just feels so hard to come back when you don't have any momentum. Like, he has to start up the army from scratch, make the push, and then try to bring it to Sitau's base. But Sitaux already has some defensive options with the knights.
Yeah.
And credit to Sitaux. Sitaux was in the right place at the right time for a lot of these engagements, by the way.
Yeah, it feels like he's having a field day right now. And Classicpro, he's adding an archer range. No, never mind. He has that archer range already. But it feels like Sitaux has all the tools right now, to push this one back.
GG.
And Sitaux able to win the decider match. No, is it the decider? No, it's the elimination match. No,
elimination matches.
Yeah. So he will continue to try getting into the top 8, into the main event, or into the playoffs of the Resurgence. And Classicpro, it was a very, very tough group for him. For me personally, when I saw all the groups, I felt like Group B is the strongest. And he's a phenomenal player himself, but unfortunately fell short against the other players.